So if there's only God's story going on, I want you to just imagine for a minute the decorations we have. If we were going to decorate our hearts, which our heart is the passageway for God's love. It's the way God's love flows through our life. So if we were going to decorate our heart with all of the things from God's story, there'd be abundant good, infinite healing, unconditional love. All our needs are met. We have everything we need. There'd be all this wonderful, freeing energy. And it's there for us always. Yet you and I have the ability, always, to choose. And it's like a little child that's born into this world of infinite good, where the universe is conspiring for us to keep remembering who we are, learning and growing. And we're born into this world, and something that's a little confusing to me sometimes is we come here with a veil of illusion, a veil over our oneness with God. That's the paradox of this existence, that we're one with all of life, yet we come here and there's a chance for us to feel separate. It's like a little child goes with their mom or dad into the department store, especially at Christmas time, lets go of their hand, and gets lost. And they think they're lost and separate and alone and abandoned. Oh, when their mom or dad is right there all the time. And that's the same with us. We feel separated at times from our good. We feel separated from love, from prosperity, from healing, from creative energy. We feel separate from that. We feel separate from the power to change for the better. We feel separate from one another. When the truth is, everything we need is right there all the time. And we decide how to decorate our heart, that passageway to God's love, if we're going to choose from this beautiful basket of God's story, or if we're going to choose from the basket that we made up of separation. So we might choose drama and conflict and not enoughness and unworthiness. So instead of this beautiful passageway being a funnel for God's love to flow through us and to us, it becomes a fortress that separates us from the good that is ever present. And we may go, well, that's not fair, when in actuality, this whole life is about learning through the joys and the sorrows. And I read in this beautiful book this weekend by Howard Thurman, a beautiful mystical teacher, that pain is a ministry. And if we look at pain as a ministry, a way to know God, that pain is an opportunity to break us open in a new way, if we use it as that, we don't have to stay stuck in the separation. The problem is we get into that habitual habit of that we keep pulling from the same basket. Do you know what I mean? It's like a broken record that's stuck on the limiting thoughts of separation, anxiety, fear, not enoughness, materialism. We keep decorating ourselves and feeling smaller when we have the power in any moment to be free. We have to remember that the thoughts that created this basket of separation are not the same thoughts we can use to change the situation. We're evolutionary beings, and we have to wake up to a new thought and a new experience. The Bible tells us the pure in heart will see God. So my question today is, how pure is your heart? How clear and open is your heart to a greater experience of life? I'm not asking if you have pain and sorrow or joy and bliss right now, because it is that cycle. But it's how free and open are you to experience the fullness of life and be fully alive right now. It's up to us what we do, how we use this power we have. One way I know, and next week we're talking about lighting the flames of faith, and we'll talk about the beauty in all the religions. But today I'm going to boil it down to just 2 choices. Do you like that? Make it easy? You know, it is the beginning of December, so we have a lot to do. And just 2 choices, because you and I, that really, there's only 2 faiths that we have in our life. We get to choose where we put our faith. It's just like love and fear. There's really only 2 emotions that everything boils down to. So it doesn't matter if you're a religious scientist, a Protestant, a Hindu, a Jew, an atheist. There's 2 faiths or 2 religions that we all choose from. And I'm sure we all have lessons on this pretty regularly, at least I do. One is the faith or the religion of being right. You know that one. We all do. And it's the faith and the religion that we choose of, it's a way we feel safe, we find safety and belonging in that, but we create a box. And if you want to be part of my faith, my life, you're going to fit these rules, or you lose. Somebody will always lose if you choose the faith of being right, the religion of being right. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. The other one is the faith or religion of being in love. And that one doesn't have a box. That is about being in service, giving and taking, about being a beneficial presence. That faith or religion is about the fluidity of life. And I'll tell you what, if you choose that religion, you're going to break some rules. Because it's not about the rules. It's about being in that flow of life. Now, I had a recent experience with this. In fact, just yesterday. I think I'm pretty darn right about being really busy. I have a lot to do. I mean, I've got to do the things at home and at the center, and we're moving and take care of this. I'm busy, and I'm right about that. So I decided I was going to shop for my daughter online. So I sent her a list of all these neat things I could buy on the internet, like at about 11 o'clock at night. And it would be delivered the next day because I have Amazon Prime. So I didn't have to worry, right? Right. I sent her the list, and she said, "Gee, thanks, Mom. But I really don't need any of those things. What I need is your time. Here's what I'd like. I'd like you to come down to this wonderful nursery down by our house and get a couple of little fruit trees and help us plant them. That takes time. I'd like you to watch the boys for a night so Brooke and I can go do something fun. That takes time. You know that monster mug you painted me? Well, we all want one. So I had a big choice. Do I want to be right? How busy I am? Or do I want to come from the place of love and open the space? That was really a no-brainer. But boy, it hurts. It just hurts when you have to give up being right. It hurts because it feels so good to be right. Because again, I told you, it's a place of belonging and security. Busyness gives me a sense of purpose. Being in love gives me a place in the universe. Gives me a place where we belong, where we can be with each other. And of course, life never lets go. You know, there's that message when, even if we have a little fortress here instead of the funnel, life continually gives us the messages to remind us where our focus needs to be. So last night, I promise you, a TED Talk just came up on my screen. I don't know how it came or where it came from. But it was from a man, a scientist, I'm not sure his name, Jeremy Ritikin or something. And he was talking about the empathic civilization. And he was talking about the power of empathy. And so my wish for us, and I'm going to share in just a moment, my wish for us is to decorate our hearts with empathy. The Bible is filled with the words of Jesus, who just boils his teaching down to two commandments, two things he commands us to do to truly live fully and decorate our heart with love. He says, love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. Love God, number one, God's story. And number two, love your neighbor as yourself, meaning we have to love ourselves and love our neighbor. And who's our neighbor? Everybody! Love your neighbor as yourself. And you can say again, well, I'm right. How can I love someone who behaves like that? How can I love someone who chooses to do that thing? Well, our Science of Mind textbook tells us very clearly, love what's right in each and every person. The essence, the power, the spark of divinity in each and every person. Don't love their misuse of power. That's how they're learning right now. That's their experience of how they're learning. They can change. Love what's right in everyone. Not just some people, not the people that are easy, but in everyone. I want you to think right now of somebody in your life that's easy to love. Now think of somebody that's more of a challenge for you. They're in your life, remember. That person that's a challenge, and it may be a person, it may be a culture, it may be something you see. We need to love what's right and good in that person. And remember, the misuse of their power is the way they're learning. That's how they're growing. We get to choose. We get to choose what we're going to do with that power and presence. We get to choose how we decorate our hearts. So my request for us to really open this season is to decorate our hearts with empathy, because empathy is contagious. This scientist went on to say that at this time, this evolutionary time that you and I chose to be here at some level of our consciousness, is about expanding consciousness, about expanding connection. We live in this evolutionary world, and this empathetic energy, we're soft-wired to belong. We're soft-wired to belong to each other. And it used to start in a little community thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago with the hunters and gatherers. Their community was their tribe, their family. It was blood related. And they hunted and gathered for each other, their tribe. The other tribes were their enemies. They just had enough for their own small group. But life evolves and a life changes. And when the agricultural civilization was established, people started being planted where they were and growing. And the empathy expanded. And they started feeling compassion and love and connection to a larger group of people, very connected to religion and belief systems. But then it grew again with the industrial age. It grew again. And we started building and factories and creating things, and we became a nationalized world where we were proud to be Americans, proud to be Brits, proud to be French, proud to be Africans, proud to be because our world, our empathy grew. Today, with the new technology, there is no separation. We have grown into a human family. And it's time for our empathy to expand into that same understanding. If you and I take that vision we have, creating a world that works for everyone, sometimes, oh my gosh, that seems so big. How can a world work for everyone? Well, again, go back to what I was saying about love what's right in everyone. A world that works for everyone, to me, doesn't mean a utopia where there are no problems. It means a world where people hold the best for one another, where forgiveness is a spiritual, daily, hourly, minutely spiritual practice. A world that works for everyone, to me, is a world where we simply hold and love people where they are and see the best in them and know there's a better way. A world that works for everyone might mean that we've been pulling the decorations from the old pot of separation, but where we're making the choice to live from the pot of God's story. Where we know, no matter what's going on, that energy that we use to separate is the same energy we can use to create something new, that we can bring miracles from the invisible into our life and hold the same for others. I found a poem, a reading, that I've included in your programs, and I'm having you get out in a minute, but I want to read it to you first. I think these are the decorations. This I'd like you to keep somewhere, because this I'd like you to use as the decoration for your heart, remembering your heart is the passageway for God's love. And the more we choose to love and not be right, the more we choose to forgive and not hold grudges, the more we choose to take the internal journey to step away from the attachment to the things, the drama and the conflict, and be more in alignment with the vibration of God is the time we not only heal ourselves, we heal this world. This is the season of affirmation from Meditations of the Heart by Howard Thurman. This is the season of affirmation, meaning we should choose every single day to affirm what we want to know and how we want to experience our day. I affirm my faith in the goodness of life, the urgency of growth, the strength of laughter, and the vitality of friendship. I affirm my confidence in the dignity of each person, our fortitude in despair, our strength in weakness, our love even in fear. I affirm my joy in the experience of living, the fragrance of nostalgia, the scattered moments of delight, and the exhilaration of danger. I affirm my need of my fellows, the offerings of faith, the gifts of variety, the quality of difference. I affirm my hunger for God, the desire for fulfillment, the ache for understanding, and the sense of peace. This is my season of affirmation. So if you'll pull those out. And I want you to choose the ones you want to hang on your heart right now, to decorate a heart, to have the most amazing holiday season, to have a time of joy for yourself, happiness, truth. And let's read this together. This is the season of affirmation. I affirm my faith in the goodness of life, the urgency of growth, the strength of laughter, the vitality of friendship. I affirm my confidence in the dignity of each person, our fortitude in despair, our strength in weakness, our love even in fear. I affirm my joy in the experience of living, the fragrance of nostalgia, the scattered moments of delight, the exhilaration of danger. I affirm my need of my fellows, the offerings of faith, the gifts of variety, the quality of difference. I affirm my hunger for God, the desire for fulfillment, the ache for understanding, the sense of peace. This is my season of affirmation. And please turn within for a moment as we breathe in the power and presence of God's infinite love. As we choose in this moment to expand ourselves and step into the greater story of our life, the story that is God's story, the story that we know is one, where we feel in this moment that all of our needs are met, that we simply need to free up our mind or our heart to open to the good that is ever present. Where in this moment we know that we have everything we need for healing our body, for healing our mind, for healing our emotional conflict, for healing any limitation to our creativity, to our sense of manifestation, that we are here holding the same power that was spoken to create the universe, that we have that power right now in our hearts and our minds and our hands and our words to create from the invisible things right now, to not only uplift our own life, but to be that reflection of goodness, of love, of possibility for each and every person on the planet. I know right now we clear and wash away our eyes, we clear our hearts of any impurities that keep us stuck in having to be right, or having to be stuck, or having to be limited. We wash any of that away, and we stand in the light of God's infinite love in this moment. And we feel this expanded energy that we have the power of one. That together, as we unify in this goodness, as we unify in the knowing that we are here for each other, that we learn how to balance and learn from both the sorrow and the pain and the joy and the bliss that this beautiful human world gives us, that we know that we change this world for the better. We change it because we're here and our heart is filled with the empathy and understanding and the peace in knowing that we not only belong to God, but being the truth and the light and the love of God, we belong to each other. In closing with the simple words in the first letter of John, beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. And as we unite and accept our knowing that we are one and the power we have in that, we release the separation and are ignited and alive and courageous enough to live empowered by love and light.